before we start, I want to thank many people. I want to, first of all, thank all of you, and in particular the Dean of the Medical School, Dr. Nielsen, who joined us here this evening, and several people from our Friends of Lurie board. There are so many people to thank for the efforts that are going over the year, every year in this cancer center. We are dealing with a very bad disease, a very tough disease, and we have great people, and we all fight together. So I want to thank everybody and all of you for everything you do all the time. And let's get going. So what I'll do today is we're gonna have 4 areas that we will briefly discuss. One is people and awards. It's a tradition that we have to give awards to our exceptional staff and people who work in the Cancer Center this time of the year. Then I will give you an update on research and education, clinical care, and then the network integration. And I'm going to have a couple of people from the Executive Council who will give an update. So let's start with the people and awards, and I will ask Nick Rave, Senior Vice President of NMHC, to come and start the process.
Well, thank you, Dr. Platanias, and good evening. My name is Nick Rave. I'm Senior Vice President of Operations, responsible for the oncology program as well as women's health. I'm thrilled to be here this evening. So as many of you in this room know, we have on an annual basis opportunities to recognize individuals. We have opportunities to recognize our physicians, our nurses, our professional, and our support staff. Today, however, we have a unique opportunity to recognize a few individuals who are really some of our unsung heroes. These individuals are working diligently behind the scenes with little or no formal recognition. They do this because they believe in our mission, and they do this because they possess our core values, those values of integrity, of the pursuit of excellence, of patients first, and of teamwork. So tonight, Alex Zafarowski and myself are going to recognize 4 of these unique individuals. It's my privilege and my honor to announce the first award recipient, but first, let me tell you a little bit about this individual. I've had the good fortune of working with this person over the last 3 years. This person has played a crucial role in advancing the strategic initiatives of our cancer program. This individual has worked tirelessly in not only coordinating, but conducting cancer meetings across our entire region. This individual has also been a conduit to create cancer relationships across the region. This person has been instrumental in formulating and bringing to fruition not only our short-term, but our mid-term strategic plan. This individual happens to work in our strategy department. So if you would please join me in welcoming Gretchen Parker to the podium to accept the Strategic Network Award.
Try to keep these a surprise, so I think 1-0 right there. So thank you, Nick, for that wonderful introduction of what this staff stands for. And the next 2 people I'd like to recognize have done a tremendous job in us preparing for the upcoming NCI redesignation, where most of you know that twice a decade, and for us this is coming up a day after Valentine's Day, we're going to have the National Cancer Institute here to assess our comprehensive cancer center. And without these 2 people and the tremendous effort in sacrificing their nights and weekends and dealing with all the different staff and faculty and skipping some Champions League games or kids' recitals, it really wouldn't have happened without them. So if Renee Webb and Alden Chang would please come up, I'd like to recognize them.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
So last but not least, many of you attend the professional educational events that we host at the Lurie Cancer Center. In fact, every 3 weeks, there's some sort of event that almost 3,000 professionals on an annual basis throughout the Chicagoland area attend. This person happens to be very competitive, and not only did that occur, but also the sponsorship and the exhibitor income from those events has gone up about 30%. So if you're joining me in welcoming Erin Donahue to receive her award.
Congratulations. All right. Okay, so we're going to get moving. I just wanted to remind everyone, many of us live it every day, our patients see it every day, but this is the Lurie Cancer Center mission. We work to accelerate translation of groundbreaking discoveries to the clinic, and we want to defeat cancer as a disease. We provide obviously state-of-the-art compassionate cancer care, and importantly, we train the next generation of clinicians and scientists. We have a long history and tradition here at Northwestern. Many of you may not know that the first female surgeon in the country, Mary Thompson, was here from Northwestern. And John Brewer, the very first director of the Cancer Center, it was not Lurie Cancer Center then, was the one who had made one of the very early discoveries that changed the world of chemotherapy, methotrexate for choriocarcinoma. And over the years, we had some remarkable achievements, and some of our current members, like Reed Silverman, may have found Lyrica, and this keeps going. So as a cancer center, we have some unique strengths. We have some things that other cancer centers don't have. And when we look into our science, we have remarkable strengths in nanotechnology, chemistry. Fraser Stoddart, who got the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2016, is a member of our cancer center, and he works in this area, and Sam Stoop in regenerative medicine. We also have very major strengths in physical science. We are the only cancer center in the country, actually, that has both a nanotechnology excellent grant that Chad Mirkin has, and a physical science in oncology with Tom O'Halloran. We have major strengths in bioengineering. The last few years, after Alice Latifar joined us as chair of biochemistry, we developed major strengths in epigenetics. And some of you may not know that the term oncofertility started here at Northwestern. It was the work of, the whole field was developed here by Teresa Woodruff. So at the same time, we have many strong clinical research leaders who have major leadership positions in many national organizations and define many of the fields of oncology. Alexis Thompson, who is Associate Director of the Cancer Center, is currently the President of the American Society of Hematology. Jane Winter is also elected member of the Council. Maha Hussein is in the ASCO Board of Directors, and it keeps going. We have several people in major leadership positions that influence the overall oncology field as a whole. At the same time, of course, we have superb clinical network, clinical operations here. We have Northwestern Memorial Hospital, and recently we have the rapidly expanding Northwestern Medicine Network that creates major opportunities for the cancer field. So here is how we define what we call our catchment area. We serve, by the NCI definitions, the Chicago metropolitan area, and more than 90% of our patients come from this 9-county area that is 2/3 of the population of Illinois. And here you can see our analytic cases that have been growing with the years. Here is our leadership. We have some of whom, most of them were appointed recently, the last 2-3 years. Maha Hussein is the Deputy Director of the Cancer Center, and she joined us from the University of Michigan. Kathleen Green is Associate Director for Basic Science, Massimo Translational Research, Milan Milksic, Cell Resources, and Alex, the Administration. And then we have Alexis Thompson, who runs our Equity and Minority Health, David Sella, Cancer Control and Prevention, and John Crispina, Education. We also have strong, in the clinical area, we have strong clinical leadership. Bill Gradisar is the Deputy Director for the Clinical Network. Jeff Wayne, who is the Chief of Staff for NMH, is the Associate Director for Clinical Operations. Roger Stoop was recently recruited from the University of Zurich. He's Director for Strategy in the Cancer Center and the Chief of Neuro-Oncology. And Stu Goldman is the Chief of Pediatric Hem-Onc. And then we work very closely with several of the department chairs. I think you will recognize this gentleman here, and this gentleman here is Ted Safer, the Chair of Urology, and Serdar Bulun, the Chair of Obstetrics and Gynecology. And again, we will not be able to do anything if it wasn't for the support of many of the department chairs with whom we work very closely. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we are really grateful for their support and our close working relationship. So one of the things that we try to do here is advancing science. And let's hear about how important is collaboration in this effort.
My name is Ali Shulati, and I'm the Robert Francis Furchtgott Professor of Biochemistry and Pediatrics. And I serve as the Chairman of the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Genetics and Director of the Simpson-Curry Center for Epigenetics.
I'm Kathleen Green. I am the Joseph L. Mayberry Professor of Pathology. I'm also a professor in the Dermatology Department, and I am the Associate Director for Basic Sciences in the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center.
I think Northwestern is champion in collaboration. So I can give you an example of why I think collaboration is best in here. So we spent a good bit of about 6 years in my former laboratory trying to figure out why some of the mutations within the chromatin are associated with different forms of human disease. And right before I left and joined Northwestern, we had a major discovery where we showed that single point mutation of histone H3 lysine 27, which was shown to be associated with pediatric gliomas, is required for regulation of processes in epigenetics. And that's what we had when I came here. And within a period of 2 months of being in here, we formed a collaborative group with colleagues within the Cancer Center. I work with Rushi Lula and Amanda Sarastas, 2 physicians within the Lurie Children's Hospital, colleagues from the neurosurgery here at Northwestern, colleagues from my laboratory, and we had a team of about 20 people working together with the simple question of why this single point mutation causes diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma in pediatrics. And within a period of 1.5 years, we had a paper was published in Nature Medicine, and from that discovery, we defined a way of treating this disease from the basic model system that we had collaboratively with this group. And this March of 2018, we are moving a phase 1 trial for the treatment of some of these DIPGs. This would have been impossible anywhere else, and I think we have the dream team here at Northwestern. And I'm describing what we have done for the diffuse intrinsic pontine gliomas, but this can be applied to many other areas. And I think what I find refreshing in Northwestern is that everyone wants to collaborate. I find my colleagues in clinics, I find my colleagues in basic sciences, I find my colleagues in Evanston, they all are very collaborative, very nice people. I think, can't think of a better group of people to be working with.
What do we need in order to take us to the next level at Northwestern? That is a great question. Money, resources are always a good thing. I think philanthropy is extremely important, and money really is what fuels our research at the bench. It provides us with flexibility in going after difficult questions. I think the NIH system, though it's been very supportive of me and my colleagues throughout the career, is limited in a certain way because you're not guaranteed the continuous support that you need in order to be able to take risks.
So the question is, do we need more funding? Do we need more talent? Do we need more courage? Do we need more inspiration? And I think simply we need it all, right? We will not be able to function without funding, right? But funding is not the key source. I've From my own experience, just having money is not good enough to get where you want to go. I think having in an environment that you're inspired is very important. I think setting example is very important. Leading by example is very important. I think being part of an environment that you have colleagues that you can collaborate with. None of us are smart enough to know everything. None of us are smart enough to have all the ideas. I think working together is going to be very important. Having all of that under one roof is going to be central. And I think what we have here at Northwestern University, Northwestern Medicine, the Lurie Cancer Center, the Lurie Children's Hospital, we have all of it in one place. And I think that's inspiring. And that's a very unique thing about our environment here in Chicago.
So for those of you who know Ali, it's a great thing to hear him saying that money is not important. That's the first time he ever said that on a video. So these collaborative efforts, build up, and as you heard before, we're going through our competing renewal of our major center grant, and you can see that we had tremendous growth since the last time we were reviewed 5 years ago. We have improved pretty much all our numbers at all levels, from collaborative publications to high impact publications. Our NCI funding is substantially grown. Our investigator clinical studies, many things have really changed over the last few years, and we are a much stronger cancer center. So, in terms of research, though, you can see here something that is important. You can see our growth over the last 5 years compared to the top 30 matrix cancer centers like us, and how we have done. And the NCI funding is an objective way to measure the depth of science and research capabilities of a place. And you can see that we had a major annual growth, while in all cases, essentially, the funding has been flat or in many cases decreased because of funding issues. Our accrual to innovative clinical trials has also grown dramatically, and it keeps growing. We are putting right now together the 2017 data, and I think it's going to be even better. And all this has resulted in an increase in our ranking as a cancer center. When in the last renewal in 2013, we were ranked 21. Right now, we are ranked 11, and we are very close to touch the number 10 based on the NCI funding. So, but all these things are done because we want to have an impact. What we do is we are making impact in cancer. And, in cancer research that we can bring from the bench to the clinic. And let's see the next video about something impactful.
The key reason why chemotherapies or immunotherapies or targeted therapies don't work on all patients is because tumors find a way to develop resistance. Resistance is the key. Genes are hardware, chromatin is software. You can have a computer, but somebody has to write a code and execute it. Chromatin is what writes software or the software itself. What we saw was very interesting. These cancer cells just lost their ability to develop resistance. All of a sudden, within several days of treatment, almost each and every of the cancer cells died. Essentially, we turn what would be resistant cells into susceptible, because we blocked the single thing that cancer cells love to do, to change.
So this is Vadim Bachman, who is one of our leaders in the Cancer Center. He's leader of one of our programs. And he's a scientist that works on very basic research, trying to understand what causes resistance of cancer cells and develop ways for biomarkers so we can identify, we can detect cancer cells very early. And in the Cancer Center, he has been working together with our clinical leaders, with Sohrei Sahabi, the chief of Gyne-Onc, with Scott Badinger and others. And you know, this is a work that has been going on for a while and led to a large multi-center international trial that is going on now with places, you know, like us, Mayo Clinic, Stanford, and others. With, you know, what he's trying to do is he's trying to develop a pap test for all cancers. And he's getting there. I don't know how long it will take, but this is an amazing technology, a very powerful technology that will save lives in the future. That's impact. Another example that I want to show you has to do with Chad Mirkin. Chad is probably the single most influential leader in the field of nanotechnology today, and he has been working very closely with the Cancer Center. This is from a video we made about almost a year ago, and let me show you what he said.
One of the reasons that when I started the Institute, I thought it's important that we not only become great at doing science, you know, discovering why nanostructures behave the way they do, but to also facilitate translation.
Absolutely.
And to create ways where we could translate on the medical side of things. And so my hope is that, you know, we're going to look back from this a decade or two from now and say, wow, that was the point in time where it really made a difference and there was an inflection point in how we think about treating and hopefully ultimately curing, in certain cases, disease.
So he's talking about an inflection point, something that will change things significantly. And, you know, since then, he has worked very closely again with our clinical doctors, and we have taken to the clinic some of his discoveries. Here is working with Alex Steg and Priya Kumthekar, who is a clinical doctor. We have now the first in human clinical trial targeting an oncogene in brain tumors using nanotechnology. He's sending these spherical nucleic acids that he has developed, and they can reach the brain, you know, which is a tough thing to do in these cases. There are already 3 patients, there may be more by today, that have been treated there. We know this starts reaching, you know, these sequences can reach the brain, and we'll see, you know, down the road, this opens a whole new approach to treat tumors, not only for the brain, but for other difficult to treat cancers. So all this comes because of programmatic efforts. In the Lurie Cancer Center, we try to bring together our scientists with our clinicians and create teams that work together to translate the science to the clinic. And here you can see a list of large programmatic efforts that were funded by the NCI during the last period. Our prostate spore, that's a very big effort. The Nanotechnology Excellence Grant that I mentioned, the physical sciences in oncology, the Chicago Check, that's community outreach, and I will talk about it. Oncofertility with Teresa Woodruff, you know, this again is a very, we have major strengths here at Northwestern. And then very recently we got a large global oncology grant to study epigenetics in Nigeria. So we bring our science from the lab to the clinic, and then we keep building up. And you can see now here some practice-defining clinical trials for which the Lurie Cancer Center either drove directly or played key roles that led to FDA approvals. And this has to do with neuroendocrine tumors. We have a very impactful study on lymphoma, approval of evofosfamide for sarcoma. There is a drug that is reaching approval for acute leukemia. And very recently, just today, there was this study published by Roger Stoop on brain tumors that shows that pretty much evolves the field. We have already approval. Roger drove the FDA approval of temozolomide and tumor-involved fields, tumor-treating fields for glioblastoma, and now he shows that the combination is the most effective. These are really transformative, impactful clinical trials that change the dynamic of the oncology field. So let me just move to education, though, because as I mentioned before, one of our major missions is education. And at the Lurie Cancer Center, we have several programs that cover, start with students, postdocs, clinical fellows, junior faculty, and nurses. And we have been really fortunate to build a very strong effort there that led to several ways to fund large federal grants that can fund the training of our trainees. And we have 9 T32 training grants, as we call them. This number has grown the last couple of years with the addition of 2 new ones, one in cancer nanotechnology and the other one in behavioral aspects of cancer prevention. And we have a lot of activity that is also supported by philanthropy. We have the federal funding that supports these efforts, but the support by the philanthropic supports plays a big difference here. And you can see several mechanisms we use for that. So one of the most important oncology conferences in the US originates here at the Lurie Cancer Center, is the Lynn Sates Cancer Research Symposium every year. This conference has major impact. You can see here the attendees that we have every year from all over the country. And we have the Chicago Sisters Cities program, and we bring trainees from all over the world. And you can see here the countries that they have come. This is a highly impactful educational activity that we have, and it keeps growing every year. We also have, uniquely as a cancer center, special training programs for our nurses. Our nurses play one of the most important roles in the fight against cancer. So we have various training programs. We have this annual training oncology conference that brings nurses from all over the country. And that's something we are particularly proud of. So let me talk briefly about the impact we have in the community now. And one thing that happened recently under the leadership of Melissa Simon was that we were able to accomplish what we call the Chicago Cancer Health Equity Collaborative. This is a large effort that involves also the University of Illinois at Chicago and Northwestern University, and is supported by 3 large U54 grants. And Melissa has been driving this effort. And, as I said, it's a large partnership. It has many community stakeholders in various, in government, business, and so on. And the idea there is to have trans-institutional research projects focused on minority populations. This is a very strong initiative that it is also very new. Very recently, we established what we call the Chicago Cancer Initiative, whose goal is to improve cancer screening rates through education and increased access, and to decrease the impact of cancer in the Chicago area as a whole. And we have now many partners here. The idea is that we try to bring foundations that will work together to support this effort. Each foundation has its own goals, but just investing a very little bit in this effort, it adds up and it can make a big difference. So we are very excited about this project, and we have identified this community in Bronzeville as our first target, and this is moving right now. This is a historic area of Chicago that we have a lot of disparities, and we're going to work starting there, and of course, the idea is that we will expand all over Chicago later. So we also we have engagement in advocacy and policy development, and there are several instances where the Cancer Center, our offices have influenced policy policy that has impact for cancer research and screening, like the tobacco settlement funding and several other ones. But the important thing is, what is the impact of what we do? And one can take a look on breast cancer to see what is the impact that we and others, of course, working collaboratively, had in Chicago. Here you can see this is the city of Chicago. This is our catchment area, and you can see different areas that have high incidence and high cancer density in Chicago. And we have several programs, some of them are listed here, trying to impact that. And what is remarkable in Chicago is that the health disparities are really bad. If you see the mortality of African American women with breast cancer compared to white American women, there was a 62% higher incidence of death from breast cancer. With these efforts, the gap is narrowing. We have now, we and others working together in partnership, we believe we have influenced that significantly, and it's down to 40%, and we will not stop until it's 0%. This is one of the most impactful areas where we work on. So, but let me talk now about our major strengths here, and that's our clinical operations. And you know, we have a long tradition of exceptional patient experience here at Northwestern, and let's see I think that's the last video we have.
My name is Maha Hussein. I am the Genevieve Touton Professor of Medicine in the Department of Medicine, Division of Hematology Oncology, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center of Northwestern University.
Hi, my name is Jeff Wayne. I'm the Chief of Surgical Oncology here at Northwestern Medicine, and I'm a Associate Director of Clinical Affairs for the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center here at Northwestern University.
In the care of patients, there are multiple factors. The first thing and foremost important is actually providing compassionate, comprehensive care to patients. Patients come here because they want to take care of either themselves or their loved ones, their cancers, and they want to have a good experience, and they want to be cured. And granted, by today's standard, we are curing more patients, but there's a lot to be done to cure more patients. And so the least we can do is provide compassionate, exceptional care. And that is through a team. It's like a family. When I see the patient in the clinic, that's not the whole experience. The patient has to go to treatment. That means the staff in the treatment area, the nurses, the clerks, everybody there. Patients need help. You know, some of them are elderly. They are living alone. You need a social worker. You need a care team to help with facilitating things. Healthcare is complex. It's not very simple. And the least we can do is minimize the burdens for our patients while we're providing exceptional care.
We're very fortunate at the Lurie Cancer Center that 20 years or so ago, when the National Cancer Institute founded the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, that we were able to be one of the founding institutions in that group. And I've personally served on the sarcoma panel for all 16 years that I've been here, and to see how we've been able to influence not only, say, the cutting edge research, but how we've been able to influence really setting the bar for what is the standard of care in the community. You know, the NCCN website is accessed thousands upon thousands of times a day by physicians all over the country, and to know that individuals at places like Northwestern are constantly helping to evolve and change those guidelines and really make sure that that even if a patient can't come to a place like Lurie, whether because they can't travel or their insurance doesn't allow them to, that they can potentially receive what is really high quality care delivered in a community setting.
What motivates me every morning when I wake up is the fact that as a physician, I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference for patients. I want to make a difference for our society. And our society is global. It's not just the Chicago area or Illinois, it's the world. And every discovery and every improvement and progress we make actually goes to serve the humanity in total.
So we are very lucky to have Nick Rave leading our operations here, and you heard from Nick before. He's the Senior Vice President of Oncology. If you see how we're doing clinically, our numbers, we keep growing, and we're running out of space actually downtown. But you can see here the new patient counters in the Lurie Cancer Center. During the last, we used that, these are the 3 last dates for the NCI comprehensive review, and you can see that we keep growing, but we are reaching our maximum. But we remain obviously in US News and World Report the #1 place in Chicago and the state of Illinois for many, many years now in oncology. And we have some very talented team that has made many efforts over the last years. Rebecca Kers, who is here with us today, and several other leaders have, I don't have time to go through all this. I just want to make the point here that we will be opening now in January Saturday infusions and clinics. That will make it easier for our patients to come here. And of course, we have the Expanding Brain Tumor Institute, which is a very significant development, and I will touch later about that. So what we have done, though, is, as I mentioned, we are really growing rapidly, and the health network is growing rapidly. And we have established what we call the Clinical Cancer Center Executive Council that includes the presidents and leaders of all the different regions of Northwestern medicine. And here you can see me with my friends, Margot Shoup, who is the Director of Cancer Services in the West region, and Dean Chores in the North region. And we work very closely with Liz Rosenberg, who is, she was here a second ago. I think maybe she just left, but who has done a tremendous job bringing all this team together. And we have this steering committee with key leaders in our oncology field that tries to work on a plan to integrate, to optimize clinical cancer care across the network. And at this point, I'm going to ask Dean and Margot to come up and say a few words, give an update on some of the work they've done.
Thanks, Leon. I'm Margot Shoup, and like Dr. Platanias said, I'm the director of the cancer program for the West region, and I'm also a surgical oncologist. I just want to go over a couple things about what the community programs are actually like here as part of Northwestern. It was briefly touched on the scope of the geography that we serve, but if you really look at the different hospitals and cancer sites and the locations where patients with Northwestern medicine are being treated for cancer, you see it's really quite remarkable. I mean, we have hospitals at Winfield, at Central DuPage Hospital. We have Delnor Hospital in Geneva. We have Kishwaukee Hospital in DeKalb, which is the home of Northern Illinois University. We have Valley West Hospital in Sandwich and Lake Forest Hospital. In addition, we have 3 self-standing cancer centers where patients can get their radiation oncology, their medical oncology, and see their physicians all on one site, and that was in Warrenville, Delnor, and Kishwaukee as well. In addition to that, we have the cancer clinics that you can see here. One of them is in Rochelle, one in Valley West, Grays Lake, and Glenview. What's so remarkable about this is that, I mean, these are all bricks and mortars that you're seeing, and you can see maps, but these are real locations. These are real places where patients are being treated every single day for cancer with Northwestern medicine quality care. Do you know where Rochelle, Illinois is? It's 80 miles west of the city of Chicago. That's how far we're reaching patients with our quality of care for Northwestern medicine. And Sandwich is south of that. It's a rural 25-bed critical access hospital, but we have a cancer program there. And we reach all the way up to Wisconsin. It's really exciting. Think about what we can do for patients across the region because we're Northwestern medicine and we have the ability to serve so many patients. Well, we actually have been able to do that, and we have had some wonderful collaboration across the entire region for clinical care for cancer patients. The physicians have been able to get together, and I'm very happy that Gretchen was recognized earlier for helping to make all this happen, because she was really instrumental in helping with this. But patients from all over the region, physicians from all over the region have been able to come together to work for a common cause. We have teams that have been put together for GU, for head and neck, for sarcoma, for gyne-oncology, and for leukemia. And there's more than that, but these are the ones that are not just getting to know each other anymore. These are groups of physicians that are actually working together, putting clinical pathways together, deciding which clinical trials to open across the system. This is really, people aren't doing this too many places in the country. We're really ahead of the game here. And what's really exciting also is that we all have, both in the North region and in the West region, clinical trials offices that are up and running and are very functional. And it gives us the ability to open your clinical trials down here for your investigator-initiated trials out in the West region and in the North region. Think about how many patients we can impact. Think about the accruals that you can have to your trials. Think about the progress we can make by including all the community programs in these trials. So we're really excited, and we're moving things ahead. And we're working on soon, Tony Yang has a grant for bringing collaborative across the region for breast. So we're going to get the breast program together. We have a few other groups that are still in the meet and greet kind of stage, but we're getting there. And it's been 3 years, and it's been a lot of work, but we've made a lot of progress. From the West region standpoint, just briefly, so the Kishwaukee Cancer Program actually came on board with Northwestern Medicine 2 years ago. And about a year and a half ago, we first started recruiting to have medical oncology join us in Kishwaukee. And now we are, as of this year, we're fully staffed with 3 full-time Northwestern Medicine physicians for medical oncology at Kishwaukee Hospital in DeKalb, Illinois. All 3 of these physicians have been previously in academic medicine, one at University of Maryland, one at Loyola University, and one at Medical College of Wisconsin. And where are they working? They're working in DeKalb because they can be part of the Northwestern Medicine Cancer Program and really build a program and reach out to patients out there that otherwise wouldn't get the care. So because of this, our growth has been phenomenal. As you can see in the bottom of the slide, between fiscal year 15 and 17, during that time, we've tripled our number of our patients going on clinical trials because we've had so much outreach to the patients out in the West region that otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to go on any kind of trial because they can't travel or won't travel or for whatever reason. So it's been a great collaboration, and we've had a lot of fun working with Dr. Saras and Dr. Platanias and the groups here to really continue to give the patients across the whole region the care they deserve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. I'd like to talk a little bit about the integration with the North region and what's going on in the North as it relates to Northwestern Medicine. But before I talk about the future, I want to talk a bit about the past. In 2010, NMHC closed the acquisition of Lake Forest Hospital and renamed it Northwestern Lake Forest Hospital. There was a promise at that time to build a new hospital on the Northwestern campus, the Lake Forest campus. Many said it would never happen, but in August of 2014, ground was broken for the new Lake Forest Hospital. Now, in a mere 73 days, we'll be opening our new hospital, which would be the newest and most state-of-the-art hospital in the state of Illinois, and it'll be the most transformative change in healthcare in northern Illinois in the past 75 years. So we're really excited to be an anchor for Northwestern Medicine in the North that'll serve Northwestern patients for years to come. We will have a cancer center at Lake Forest Hospital that will include hematology oncology, radiation oncology, and led by Northwestern-trained gynecological oncologist Alok Pant, as well as breast surgeon Denise Monahan, who's also Northwestern-trained. We have a vigorous clinical trials program. We have 14 investigator-initiated trials and 6 cooperative group trials. Our accrual rate's about 11%, which is well above the national average. We also have an embedded palliative care program that's led by visionary leader Martha Twaddle in palliative care. We'll be opening surgical oncology clinics in the North, and we've opened a neuro-oncology clinic. We also have tumor boards with breast cancer, head and neck cancer, as well as GU oncology, and we have an oncocyte clinic. Many of our competitors have claimed to have cracked the cancer code, but no one has built a program like Dr. Massimo Cristofanilli and Dr. Amir Badad with the oncocyte clinic. In the oncocyte clinic, tumor mutations are sequenced, their clinical significance is evaluated, and treatment recommendations are given. It's been a revolutionary program that's participated in the West and the North regions. We had a very successful oncocyte clinic, or an oncocyte symposium in April of last year, and another planned for May of this year. Finally, I'm going to talk about the Executive Council. The Executive Council, as Dr. Platanias mentioned, is really the heart of the integration, and it's the heart of the cancer program. This is a monthly meeting that brings everyone together so we hone our vision, and our vision is to be the premier integrated academic health system. I'd like to thank the NMHC members who are involved with the Executive Council, including Liz Rosenberg, Jim Adams, Julie Creamer, Thomas McAfee, Kevin Port, and Nick Brave. I want to give a special thanks to Liz Rosenberg, who is a driving force behind the Executive Council. If the Executive Council is the heart of integration, Liz Rosenberg is the brains. Her team has provided leadership and direction for the Executive Council, and we wouldn't be this far along with integration without her. So Gretchen is part of her team, got an award tonight, and she has a wonderful staff and has really helped our program along. So I want to thank Liz Rosenberg for all their work. Thank you.
Thank you. So you see, that's another way where our science has impacted the community. The OncoSet is a futuristic program that we developed here. We have the OncoSet clinic downtown, but then we opened it up in the network, and now patients can have their tumor sequenced and be evaluated through this process. And there will be more coming up in that direction. But let me move to the final and brief section, which has to do with philanthropy. Philanthropy we have a long tradition of philanthropic support for our cancer center, and this has continued and continues to grow. Here you can see a small number of, a few of our foundations that have really done events, and many of you are here tonight, and I want to thank you again for everything you have done to support our cancer center. But this is what really drives the science. Our philanthropy is what allows us to ask difficult questions, out-of-the-box questions, to try to do things that we couldn't do with federal funding. And there have been many events that have happened over the last year. These are some examples. Our Cancer Survivors Walk is growing, it's becoming a large event, and we raised more funds than ever in the last year, and I think this is going to keep growing. We have with us Bruce and Barbara Jacobson sitting right here. They developed the leukemia program, the campaign to save lives. Another new event we started this year was the scoreboard charities. This was very successful. We had the first event in September. We had the second event of the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation, which is also, Eleni Bousis, the founder, had to be for a family emergency in Greece, otherwise she will be here tonight. This is something that is also really growing rapidly. And I just want to point one event that moved to the Lurie Cancer Center this year. For the first time they decided to join us. Is the right for 3 reasons. And this young man, John, did an amazing thing. He took his bicycle all over the country, raising funds for cancer research and also for the neurology program here. This is such an amazing effort. Think he told me the stories of what he encountered during his travels. It was really remarkable, and this is something we have now a strong partnership, and this will continue in years to come. So I think, it's time to stop here. I want to thank you again for everything you do. Before I finish, I want to mention another important philanthropic event was this Malnati Brain Tumor Institute. It was dedicated recently. We have members of the Malnati family here with us tonight, and we are extremely appreciative for their support. And this will be transformative both for clinical care and for research. So I'm going to stop here. This is a summary of what has happened. We keep growing. We're building our translational and research capabilities. We have strong collaboration, and we have increased our funding, our ranking, and our substance. And I want to thank you once again for everything you do to support our cancer center. Thank you.